All right, everybody, we're going to get to your WWE Week in Review in just a moment. And boy, is it going to be a fun week in WWE. This is the final premium live event before the Royal Rumble, which means 2 months of a gap of no pay-per-views. So WWE has to deliver, and I think they will this coming Saturday in Boston with major returns on the horizon, potentially in the women's division. And we have the 2 War Games matches themselves for the men and the women. And we've got a lot to talk about tonight, so don't go anywhere. We're going to get everything going right after this. How would you like to perform your daily activities without pain stopping you? Then you need to go to pysoflex.com. That's P-Y-S-O flex.com, P-Y-S-O flex.com. They offer a wide range of resource selection from braces to body supports. They even have one of those awesome massage guns and even a full body massage mat, which is awesome. So with the help of their products, you can live more comfortably and get back on track doing the daily activities that you enjoy. Their company stands by the belief that pain management is a requirement for a person to get back to doing their daily chores. They want to be your provider of products that will give you hope when you're facing challenges such as activity injuries, chronic pain, or an age-related disease. The company's goal is to give a one-of-a-kind selection of high-quality, comfortable brace and support products that ship directly to your home as soon as possible. Whether your health recovery is from a sports activity or health-related illness, they have a solution to aid that unexpected disease under one store. It's pysoflex.com, P-Y-S-O flex.com. They also have a 30-day return policy, which means if something just isn't working right for you, you can return it for your money back. Guys, check out pysoflex.com, P-Y-S-O flex.com, and manage your pain and get back to your life today.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me. Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my honor. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE Week in Review, flagship show for the week, and it is Sunday, November 20th, 2022. It is a big week, whether you're a sports fan or not, because, well, of course, Thanksgiving, if you're in the States, that means something to you. For most people, whether it's traveling or staying home or making food or just eating food or getting drunk, whatever it may be for you, it is a big week. But if you're a sports fan, hey, we got the NFL in full gear now as we head towards the playoffs that are around the corner. We're already in week 11 of the NFL. We have, of course, in the world of pro wrestling, AEW full gear that just came to a close, and MJF, the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, William Regal, turning his back on the crowd and aligning himself with MJF. I did see it. I know I don't talk a lot about AEW here, but it was worth watching, and a brilliantly done turn by both men, and the use of the knucks, brass knucks. And it was just wonderful to see. And most people seem to be generally happy with MJF capturing that AEW championship. And I would agree. While I don't follow the product that much, MJF is one of the biggest reasons, if not the sole reason, that I follow AEW, or at least make an effort to. And so, certainly, a lot to talk about there. We won't do it here on this show, but our AEW review of All Out. Travis Hughes did a great preview show. We've got a lot more coming this week, but not just AEW. We've also got a ton of Survivor Series coverage as we roll through the week. Tomorrow is typically Anthony DeMarco and my spot to talk about the current state of WWE. In place of that, we're going to have a older show posted tomorrow, but to make good on it, we're going to bring him on Friday evening for a preview and prediction show for Survivor Series. That should be a lot of fun as we get to go match by match, look at who could return, potential turn, not just return, but turns, babyface heel turns, all that fun stuff as we now look towards Survivor Series Saturday night. I think it's going to be a really, really big show, and it has to be because we're now creeping towards WrestleMania season, and I think it's going to be one for the books. Let me just put it that way, as we could see several big returns. I'll leave it there. And keep you guys hooked until our Thursday show, or rather Friday show for the Survivor Series preview. So, all right, well, let's get into it, guys. Let's get into the weekend review, and I'm gonna first talk about SmackDown, as I always do every week, and because it's at the forefront, and I already did a Raw review. It's kind of silly if I don't talk about SmackDown up front, and of course, our SmackDown team did a great job this week recovering it, but I got to throw my 2 cents in, so here we go. Let me talk about Bray Wyatt first. Now, I didn't have a massive segment on the show, and that's okay. I mean, I don't need him sucking up more time than is necessary. I think that is one of the factors that led to the fall of his character with the Fiend, a couple of years ago. That wasn't the only thing. Of course, his mental health was declining. Some of the storyline was hokey. He was overexposed, and then the Randy Orton finale at WrestleMania was just an absolute crap show. But I think that intentionally he's not being overexposed, and when he does show up, even if it is every week or every other week, he is being used minimally but maximally at the same time. What I mean by that is he's being used on a minimal number of minutes, but those minutes are being maximized. You pay attention to everything he says. You try to decode everything he says, which is like impossible to do. But this week, he came out, and his entrance is often going to be longer than his actual in-ring promo at this point. Him and Roman Reigns, again, I've said this before, whenever they do have their program, and it is going to happen, I would imagine, sometime in 2023. I don't think it's going to happen this year now, given the large gap in time, and December's a waste of a month for pro wrestling, all that. There could be an argument to be made that the combined entrances of Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns may be longer than their match itself. I mean, think about that. Or imagine like Taker and Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt in a triple threat match. I mean, that's like an entire pay-per-view right there with the amount of time it would take for the entrances and everything else. I'm only half joking about that because whenever they do the matches, I'm telling you, I would bet that the actual entrances, realistically, with all the jokes aside, combined, is probably going to be about 8 minutes. Their match will probably be 15, so maybe half of their match, which is still really absurd to think about. So we'll talk about that and complain about that and joke about it at the same time when that happens. But this week he comes out and he's quickly interrupted by LA Knight, and he after Bray apologizes for what he did, he said he wanted to say sorry. LA Knight comes out, and LA Knight wanted to shake his hand and accept the apology, but he slaps Bray, and Bray's, he was angry and said he has all these things in his head he's fighting the urges to not do. And then we get Bray, who the more sensible Bray, come through and say that he understands and that he still wants to shake the hand of LA Knight, and LA Knight slaps him again and says it's a 2-for-1 special. That's when Bray snaps. I was expecting like lightning bolts and stuff. Like I was expecting like the wacky hocus pocus after the look in his eyes, and we didn't get that. But LA Knight backs up the ramp. He's quickly he didn't escort it. He left the arena, and he was being interviewed quickly about why he's leaving. And then in the doorway, as he's leaving, we see that mask, right? Uncle Howdy, apparently, is the one in that mask. And then shortly thereafter, we see LA Knight, who is seemingly been assaulted and, completely demolished by having crates and, kegs and whatever the hell else was on him. He was attacked backstage, and we can only assume that it is Bray Wyatt and or Uncle Howdy, or if they're the same person. So, I like this. Yeah. All that said, this is leading to me saying I'm good with it because it's moving Bray forward, other than him just kind of talking about himself in this mask that we don't know who it is. Is it Bo? Is it him? Is it his real Uncle Howdy? Maybe he has a real Uncle Howdy. What do we know, right? Is it an alter ego? Is it just an illusion? What are we seeing? It puts all that aside, which is good because it started to get like, okay, can we move forward? Like, what are we doing? And it gets to LA Knight, which is clearly LA Knight is a hold me over. But it's a nice introduction to a first program for Bray, and Bray's not having to take bumps right now. Maybe he's not ready, maybe whatever. But it's character development, and it's giving him someone to work with that is talented on the microphone, and LA Knight is talented on the microphone. So I have really no issue with this at all. I'd imagine that it's going to conclude at Survivor Series. It could go through December. I mean, given they don't have a pay-per-view for 2 months, unless they randomly throw one out there, I think that they could have have this concluded maybe in a month, sometime in December, and have a big showdown at SmackDown. And Raw will do the same thing. Just because they don't have a pay-per-view for 2 months doesn't mean that they're not going to have shows that don't feel like they're pay-per-view worthy. I think they will. So this could, if it doesn't end at Survivor Series, it could continue all the way through December. We could be talking about this as, before Christmas, and they're going to wrap up whatever they're doing in a steel cage inferno match or something. Who knows? But I like it. I just wanted to put that out there with Bray and LA Knight. I am engaged. I think it's intriguing. I have no problem with LA Knight, and LA Knight is getting elevated every moment he's on TV with Bray Wyatt, and he's doing a great job. I think he feels like he belongs. I have no problem with this program at all right now. All right, let's see what else happened on SmackDown. Shotzi versus Shayna Baszler, and Ronda Rousey is there in a very rare role in a supporting role on the outside of the ring, and she was supporting her friend of Shayna Baszler and going against Shotzi, who I feel like again would do a much better job connecting with the fans if she stopped bringing out her Power Wheels tank and her built-in T-shirt cannon or squirt gun or whatever faux gun is in that child's tank. I just don't understand it. I know she feels maybe that she just needs some kind of gimmick. I know she did it in NXT, but sometimes it doesn't translate to the main roster. I'm not the end all be all. I may be in the minority, but based on the crowd reactions to Shotzi, it's hard to take her serious. I can't take her seriously when she feels it's a good idea, character-wise, to just come out there and feel it's fun or it's connecting with the crowd or it does something positive. Because I don't even know, even if it did serve some purpose, I don't know what that purpose is. We haven't been told what the tank is for. Maybe I missed it, but I feel it detracts from her. It takes the seriousness away. It takes like anything she says after that, like, aren't you the one that just drove a toy tank to the ring? Right? Like, no matter what she says, it's like, okay, Shotzi, like, you're 30. Can you stop asking Santa for these kinds of toys every year? I don't know. I'm making a bigger deal out of it than most of you care to hear, but I wanted to rant since this is my platform. It's stupid. How about that? But in the ring, Shotzi's good. She's good. I don't think she's outstanding, but she certainly is capable of having a match with anyone on the roster, any woman on the roster. And I think the match with her and Shayna Baszler was good. It was good, definitely. We had Shayna Baszler lose here, which you kind of knew she was going to, given that you need to elevate Shotzi as high as she can be before the match with Ronda. But she lost in a way that actually still protected Shayna Baszler because it was the good old roll-up, which is fine. After Raquel Rodriguez came down to even the odds and distracted Shayna, it allowed the roll-up, and then we got the just kind of stare down between Ronda and Shotzi, or rather Ronda and Shayna staring down Raquel and Shotzi. And I have a feeling that tag team match is probably coming next week. How much you want to bet? But overall, I think it's fine. And I'm mildly engaged in this program simply for the fact that it's a new opponent for Ronda. That's like pretty much the only appeal to this for me is, you're going to get a fine match. It's going to be okay to possibly good. And that it's a new opponent. That's kind of it for me anyway. Maybe other people out there have differing opinions and you guys love Shotzi for a different, deeper reason. I don't have any connection to Shotzi or reason or emotional connection to Shotzi for me to care or believe that she has any opportunity, any chance at all of beating Ronda. She doesn't. Spoiler alert. So, but it's fine. It's fine. It elevates Shotzi, kind of like LA Knight here. He's not going to win it. Same here with Shotzi. She's not going to win it. But when you're in the ring with a bigger star, what is it? A tide rises all boats, or whatever kind of like silly saying, the live, laugh, love crap. Which, by the way, if anybody has live, laugh, love over their bed, like, we aren't friends, okay? Live, laugh, love has been like, it's like the most basic, just overused, or like, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like live, laugh, love, or to the moon and back, or what are some other the overused phrases of today? Maybe this is a After Dark episode. I haven't done one of those in a while, but I feel like this is going to turn into an After Dark episode of just the loathing of certain phrases and sayings and supposedly inspirational, oversaturated phrases that our society is obsessed with. Some of it I can't handle. And certainly live, laugh, love is one of them. So somebody out there right now is like, that SOB, I have live, laugh, love over my bed. Screw him. Well, just my opinion. I don't know. All right. Before I'm getting off track, as half my audience just left, I really, again, the Shotzi thing with Shayna and Ronda was fine. It served its purpose, and really what we're all looking forward to, what we're all waiting to see, Becky, Ronda, one-on-one. I can't stress that enough. One-on-one at WrestleMania. So, all right, let's continue on with SmackDown, and let's talk about, let's see, because I know we had a big return. We'll get there. Let's talk about the SmackDown World Cup quarterfinal match between Ricochet and Mustafa Ali. And before the match, we had Ricochet come up to Ali, who's all being taped up in the trainer's room, and the trainer, hilariously, the trainer, did anyone else notice this? I found it hilarious. It's not a rant or an angry rant or anything like that. It's just funny because the trainer told Ali, kind of the segue into the segment, was talking to Ali and saying, yeah, he's like, well, you're officially cleared. He goes, but I wouldn't recommend going out there. It's like, well, wait, aren't you the physician? Aren't you the doctor? If you're not recommending I go out there, how can you clear me? So it's like, I just don't understand it. It's like having your doctor say to you, hey, listen, the surgery was a success. I know you're a bit drugged up. You're cleared to drive home, but I wouldn't recommend driving home. Well, wait a minute. Which is it, Doc? I don't know. I found that hilarious. I know I'm splitting hairs here, and someone out there is like, well, what he meant was he's technically cleared the bare minimum. He's met the bare minimum requirements to be quote unquote cleared, but he's saying he still wouldn't do it to be extra cautious. Somebody out there is probably making that argument, but it's still funny to hear. He's like immediately contradicts himself. I found it funny. I don't know. But Ricochet comes up to Ali and he's trying to say, hey, I'm looking forward to the match, but you don't have to go out there, all this. And they still are going to have their match. They go through with it. And it's supposed to, I guess, show the tough and the grit of Ali. I guess that's the goal, I guess, or really stupidity. But we still get Ali out there versus Ricochet, and it was as good of a match as you could expect with these two. Lengthy. They knew they could eat up some time with these two, and I understand why. Both ultra talented in the ring. It ends with Ricochet getting the victory, and Ali continues his downward slide. I mean, just when you thought Ali, who was in the main event segment of Raw, attacking Rollins to end Raw just 3 weeks ago, getting bulldozed by Bobby Lashley countless times, Seth Rollins countless times, now we get him losing to Ricochet, who isn't exactly on a winning streak himself. It's kind of puzzling what they're doing with Ali. They're just using him as like this enhanced punching bag for both shows, and I don't love it or hate it. It's just an observation. But Ricochet gets the victory, and then most interestingly, we did get an interaction between Braun Strowman and Ricochet backstage, which I thought was interesting on a couple levels, because I don't know if it was proposed to be like this or designed to be like this, or if it was something real that was tweeted by Braun that then they brought into the storyline. I'm going to go with the latter because it's more fun. So as you guys know, and I've talked about this on the show before a couple weeks ago, with Braun Strowman coming out after his match with Omos at the last pay-per-view and saying how it was a 47-star match and that you don't need to be a flippy-floppy to have this kind of match, which is just, I mean, it's unnecessary. It shows just his insecurities. I think it was something that it was not designed for a storyline. It was just something he wanted to talk about and vent. I believe it was true. I mean, sure, I guess it could be, I guess it could have been thought out that far, and I don't think so, because Ricochet responded to that and they got in this back and forth Twitter war, and then eventually Braun Strowman deleted the tweet. So that tells you all you need to know probably about if this was real or not. But we did get Michael Cole telling us, well, let me back up. Again, I'm not on Braun Strowman's side here. While I agree with him in principle that you don't need to be a flip-flop and fly guy to have a 5-star match, I think he overvalues how good of a wrestler he is. I really think that Braun Strowman has a bit of a big man complex where he feels just because he's bigger that he should be in the main event, which is not true. I really believe he believes that in real life. And it came through on Twitter. Anyway, Ricochet came up to him after Braun Strowman was talking about beating Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, and Ricochet said, don't get you're getting way ahead of yourself, all this stuff, because Ricochet's still in the tournament as well. And then he made reference to this quote, flippy floppy guy could stand in your way, something to that effect. And I was like, whoa, okay, they're bringing this in the story. So that was interesting and fun and smart. And then Michael Cole said that they're going to revisit this next week and talk about the origins of that next week. So they're making a storyline out of this. And I appreciate that. Why not? Fans jumped all over Braun Strowman on this, which, if they're trying to keep Braun Strowman babyface, that may not be exactly the best path to do it, because by default, Braun Strowman is going to be the heel in that match because he's the bigger dude, and Ricochet is just kind of this lovable flip-flop and ultra-talented gymnastics type of wrestler. And so I think the fans are going to gravitate towards cheering Ricochet and booing Braun Strowman. I could be wrong, but I think that's just based on the human condition, the human psyche. I think that's how they'll react. And it's fun. They created a program out of nowhere, and now we all suddenly care. So I think that it's going to be a good match next week. Or is it next week? No. Does Braun Strowman? I have to look at the brackets. But all right. So that was something good. They're capitalizing on a potentially problematic statement from Braun Strowman. All right, let's continue on with the opening promo. This actually was okay with me. It got a little bit hokey at times with the Brawling Brutes, and they're trying to duplicate the Usi movement with the what is it? What did they say? The broody chant. I think that's what they said. Like broody, which there actually was a broody chant. I don't know. We'll see how far that takes them. I don't think it's going to go very far. Maybe I'm wrong. But we got at least a explanation as to why Sheamus and Drew, after their 20-year rivalry, which really isn't 20 years, but that's how long they've known each other. And, they said it was based out of mutual respect. Totally plausible, believable, right? Definitely. Fighting for 20 years, at some point you got to reach a dead end. You're like, look, let's just end this. I respect you. You respect me. Let's move on. And that's what they did. They buried the hatchet, and Drew has become a temporary part of that group, And it's a nice combination. It's a weird combination, but I don't dislike it. I think they all have their role in that group. I think it went on a little too long with the kind of sentimental stuff, but it's fine. It served its purpose. And we did get Sami Zayn coming out and interrupting them, which prevented them from presumably announcing who their fifth member of the group was going to be. And Sami Zayn called himself Usi in the Sky with Diamonds. Am I missing something there? Is this part of a song? I don't know. I didn't follow it. Don't know. And Sheamus forewarned Zayn, saying that it'll be the last person you expect to join the group. So you knew right there that if once they tease it, it can't be Madcap Moss. It just can't be. So that was a relief. And obviously we all know it wasn't. All right. Let's continue. Madcap Moss, speaking of him, took on Karrion Kross. Of course, Scarlett was there, and Madcap Moss lost here, and he lost clean. And Emma is the wild card here, who has a crush on Madcap Moss, coming to his aid after he loses, after the cross jacket is applied and then held exceedingly long after the bell. Emma came out to his aid, which you would imagine is going to end in a mixed tag match at some point. It's you know what? Madcap Moss is extremely vanilla. He's really good in the ring. Tough guy. I think he's got more to offer than what we see. But adding the female counterpart to this story is really helping him, because it's going to show more emotion from him than we would have gotten otherwise. And eventually, as I said, a mixed tag team match is probably likely with these two teams. So, but other than that, I think the match with Karrion Kross and Moss was fine. It was good. No complaints. I really am becoming more and more of a fan of Karrion Kross every week with his facials. I know some of you vehemently disagree with me, but that's how I feel here. I think he's got just a great look to him, really good look to him. His promos are they're not A+, but they're believable. If that makes sense. Like I believe what he believes. That's really, to me, the most important thing. If I don't believe what you're saying, I'm disconnected instantly. So I believe what Kross is saying. So, all right. Let's continue. I already talked about the Bray Wyatt promo. Let's maybe I think that is now the oh no. We did get Braun Strowman and New Day versus Imperium here before the main event. And I want to say this was a fine match. I had no problem with this match. Again, very rarely do I have a problem with the quality of a matchup from a pure wrestling perspective. Strowman and the New Day did beat Imperium. So the Strowman and New Day did get a victory here. But the complaint I have about this match is the fact that we had Gunther running like a scalded dog, to quote JR. Like, he was avoiding Braun Strowman at all costs. Now, these two may end up having to do battle anyway in the if they do get into the Intercontinental Championship business. If Braun Strowman is successful in the World Cup, that means he earns a shot at Imperium's Gunther, and that would mean that eventually Gunther can't run, right? But I did not like the kind of cowardice I saw. Now, I know heels they tend to have a bit of a yellow streak down their back, right? That's one of the traits of a heel, but I don't like this in Gunther. That's not what Gunther is. You don't have to be a chicken, heel, right? There are heels that are nasty and are just flat out better than you, as MJF would say. Like, they are just better than you. They know it, and that's how they beat you, and then brag about it. They don't cheat to win. They only cheat when absolutely necessary. That's not something they do on the regular. And in this case, I don't think the cowardice trait in Gunther is a positive trait, even as a heel for him. It doesn't fit him. He is a legit badass. We just saw him go to war with Sheamus multiple times. and he looked and felt like a war general, and now he's retreating. I understand Braun Strowman's imposing and he's bigger, but that's not what Gunther should be doing. I don't know. It felt weird to see Gunther avoid Strowman. It's ridiculous. I hated it, actually. It started to chip away at like who and what Gunther is at his core. I don't know. I thought it was ridiculous, and that's the only part I didn't like. Woods pinned Kaiser. If you're interested in the specifics of who pinned who, Woods did beat Ludwig Kaiser, and again, Gunther retreats. Just ridiculous. But okay, SmackDown World Cup quarterfinal: Butch versus Sami Zayn. This is the main event. Really good main event here. Butch beat Zayn. But that's not what was the most interesting part of this. As good as this match was, and the unlimited amount of super kicks there was, we did get a Roman Reigns coming in, and boy, first of all, he got a haircut. If anyone didn't see, so if you haven't seen, Roman Reigns got a haircut that's down to just his shoulders now. It looks like he cut his hair about in half. I think it looks good personally. But with Roman Reigns coming out and leveling everybody, we then got the surprise return of Kevin Owens. I was surprised, as many others were, because I had been reporting, as others have, that he had suffered a sprained knee at a house show with Austin Theory, and that his rehab wasn't going well. All this came from Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer. And maybe that was a red herring. Maybe it was true and he's fighting through the pain. Whatever the case may be, I don't care, because Kevin Owens is the absolute right guy to fill that fifth spot. And he comes out and he ends up giving a stunner to Roman Reigns that happened after he came face to face with Sami, and they didn't do anything to each other. They just kind of stared at each other. And that's when Sami Zayn was pulled out of the ring by, I think it was Ridge Holland. And then we got the stunner to Roman after he went for a spear, and the crowd popped huge. First of all, not only for his entrance, but for the stunner on Roman, which is really fun to see. Roman Reigns hasn't been left laying in a long time, and Triple H has been on a heel, standing tall to end the show, like rampage for both Raw and SmackDown. So it's nice to see the baby faces get a little bit of revenge, just to end any show at this point. And again, Kevin Owens, perfect guy, because he doesn't have to, if he is truly injured, it's not a one-on-one match, right? Like he can kind of, you can mitigate the workload on Kevin Owens in that match, given that there's 9 other guys to help carry the load. And the interaction between him and Zayn when they come face to face inside of the War Games match is going to be the most interesting to me. And we'll have to keep an eye on that, if it's going to lead to a potential Sami Zayn full turn, and maybe the bloodline turns on him. They see that he has weakness and still has some kind of connection with Owens. They don't trust him. They beat him down. Kevin Owens. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go. There's a lot. But I really like what they're doing here, and how they brought up the announcers. Brought up when Kevin Owens came out that he has revenge on his mind, and that Kevin Owens hasn't forgotten about the many championship opportunities that he had, and how he was screwed out of the title 18 months ago by Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns, and which is all true. You never really hear them bring up the past like that, which is really nice to hear. Tie everything together when it makes sense once in a while, and I loved it. So good stuff here. Really good stuff. I mean, Kevin Owens was a star. He was the star of the show. The crowd was really happy to see him in Hartford, and I can't agree more. So it's going to be a really fun Survivor Series. All right, let's very quickly go over Monday Night Raw. We got, let's see here. We got Mustafa Ali versus Bobby Lashley. Lashley just destroyed him. Tamina versus Mia Yim. Mia Yim won. We got Chad Gable versus Matt Riddle, and Chad Gable won that in a very good match, as you'd expect. Shelton Benjamin lost to Dominic Mysterio. Makes total sense there. Dana Brooke versus Io Sky. I remember after Dana famously talked about the 24/7 title as her life's work. LOL. So Dana Brooke loses, as she should. If anyone claims that the 24/7 title is part of their life's work, like, you deserve to lose forever. Austin Theory took on Dolph Ziggler in an absolute classic of a Monday Night Raw match. Not in all time, not in pay-per-view land, but in free TV land. Certainly it's up there. Really good match. And Austin Theory won that match. And then Corbin beat Akira Tozawa with JBL. And Seth Rollins did beat Finn Balor for the U.S. title in the main event. But really the theme here, the thread that kept everything together, was the Austin Theory, kind of reimagining of Austin Theory, the rebranding or the rebirth, pick your analogy, of Austin Theory and his multiple segment show where he cut the promo saying he's done being the youngest this, the youngest that, and how he's tired of being the future. He's the here and now. And I loved it. It was a great statement, but they followed it up even better than I thought they would in the same night by talking, not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, and having him attack, Seth Rollins and just go crazy and destroying people. It was great. So, I mean, I really want to see someone kick his ass. That's how I should feel. So I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. And I hope you guys enjoyed this show. I know that we rocketed through this a little bit, and I hope you enjoyed the WWE podcast. If you want to support us, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the way to go. We have a massive week coming up. Tomorrow will be a bit of a rerun, but it'll be a fun show. Blast from the past, you shall see. Tuesday is a Raw review, but it's going to be with our in-person correspondent, Alexis. She is going to Albany, New York at the, the MVP Arena now? It used to be Knickerbocker Arena. Then it was, which everyone called the Nick. And then it was the Pepsi Arena forever and ever. And then it was the Times Union Center. Now it's the MVP Arena. So she will be the in-person correspondent that will be joining us on Tuesday evening for an in-person review of the show and hearing what went on and the things we didn't see and the merchandise and all that kind of stuff. Is always fun to hear the kind of the demographic of people there too, and how full the building really is. All those fun questions that at home you don't get to see. We'll be conversing with her on Tuesday evening. That'll be dropping late Tuesday night. Wednesday is the mailbag. Thursday is some NXT. Well, NXT is also dropping Wednesday as well. And then a huge preview and prediction show for Survivor Series on Friday. And then we'll see what we do about the show itself. I'm going to maybe try to do a review show that night, but that all depends on life. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. Again, go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast, or on Apple Podcasts. There's a link right there, the ad-free button for 99 cents a month. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Get ready for Survivor Series. It's just less than a week away. Take care, and I will talk to you next time. How would you like to perform your daily activities without pain stopping you? Then you need to go to pysoflex.com. That's PYSO Flex.com, PYSO Flex.com. They offer a wide range of resource selection, from braces to body supports. They even have one of those awesome massage guns and even a full body massage mat, which is awesome. So with the help of their products, you can live more comfortably and get back on track doing the daily activities that you enjoy. Their company stands by the belief that pain management is a requirement for a person to get back to doing their daily chores. They want to be your provider of products that will give you hope when you're facing challenges such as activity injuries, chronic pain, or an age-related disease. The company's goal is to give a one-of-a-kind selection of high-quality, comfortable brace and support products that ship directly to your home as soon as possible. Whether your health recovery is from a sports activity or health-related illness, they have a solution to aid that unexpected disease under one store. It's pysoflex.com, pysoflex.com. They also have a 30-day return policy, which means if something just isn't working right for you, you can return it for your money back. Guys, check out pysoflex.com, pysoflex.com, and manage your pain and get back to your life today.
Thanks for listening to the WWE podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.